host, Kevin Berrier, and welcome to 5Dubs Marketing Pros, where we highlight awesome brands and the stories behind them, and maybe just maybe geek out on all things marketing. All right, friends. So today's guest is someone who really embodies what it looks like when a business owner rolls up his sleeves and says, all right, let's see how I can use AI to actually help me get more done. Today's guest runs a lean and agile operation with multiple publications, deadlines, emails coming in and out, customers calling in to do business. In short, he has a lot of spinning plates. So he's been experimenting with AI, using various AI tools to build automations to help him keep his business humming while keeping the human touch front and center. In short, he uses AI as a tool where he's the hammer and it's the nail. So today we're going to level 50 geek out about how he's using AI every day, why he's not afraid to dive into the technology himself, and what lessons any business owner can take away about using AI effectively and responsibly. I'm excited for this. It's going to be a fun episode today. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome fellow AI and media geek, Jason Whong of Whong Media. Whong
Hello.
Community Media. Hey, Jason, how are you?
Yes, the community is important. I thought that needed to be in the company name because it all comes down to connecting with your audience, and they're your community.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
your publications have such a hyper local, hyper community aspect. I know you're passionate about that. You've been in the news media industry for
More than 20 years.
more than 20. Me too. I started in August of 2001, like right before 9/11 happened, where I was in classified.
Mhm.
Inside classified. So like it was the days where we would have lines out the door to place a classified ad, like right before 9/11 happens, and everything changed, right?
Mhm.
So excited to see, it's interesting to have that perspective before and after now. But so why don't we start? Tell me, or tell everyone a little bit about yourself and Whong Community Media and the publications and just overall media mix that you have within your company.
Certainly. So, I started Whong Community Media in 2001. The pandemic was going on, um, and my first acquisition it's a magazine called Outlook by the Bay. It's a senior magazine. It had been around for about 13 years before I bought it. Um, and the owner who sold it to me, she had started it when she retired, and she wanted to really retire. So I acquired that. It's a magazine that comes out every 2 months. Um, and it was a pandemic. There was a lot going on. A lot of people were having bad times. So maybe that's not a good time to leave. I mean, I was working at the Daily Record at the time,
Mm-hmm.
um, and there was some security there. Um, but I reasoned that because there's a pandemic and a lot of people are losing jobs. If I take this risk now and I lose something and it doesn't work out, that's okay because it's a lot of people are having the same problems. There was a publisher that I used to work for who would say about bad news, it's okay to stink in a crowd. If everybody's having bad news, is it so bad if you're also having bad news? So I said maybe that's the worst that'll happen, so let's try this out. um After I made that acquisition, the owner of the Business Monthly, who that's the newspaper in Howard County, and Anne Arundel County and Laurel, covering business and other news, approached me and asked if I wanted to make another acquisition. Um, and I looked at it and I realized that was what was missing from the original piece because um, Outlook by the Bay, it's it's a great read. I like that there are so many people writing for it, that there's readers that love it. They'll I say you can name your own price to subscribe, and there's some that send me a couple $100 a year, which thank you. you know
Yeah, that's
um,
fantastic. I
yeah,
mean,
but
that shows loyalty right there,
yeah, but
and
that's
value.
also the next county over, and it's every 2 months that comes out.
Sure.
Business Monthly, is the county where I live, and the next county over, a couple next counties over, and the freelancers that have been writing for it, um, most of them, a couple decades or at least a decade, and they're well connected, and it was more. Both of them are about communities, but this one felt like it's a community where I actually live. So I can connect with this community too, and I should be. So between those two publications, that's 18 uh, issues a year. Additionally, I do three annual publications. They are resource guides and directories. Directory for the Howard County Chamber, directory for the Central Maryland Chamber, and the most recent, the biggest one is the Office on Aging directory for Howard County. Um, so between all those, these are these are all things that connect. Like when I'm doing these directories, the money from those that supports the organization I'm working with.
Right.
Um, the Office on Aging directory, when I took that over, that one was not doing any kind of support for anyone. So I said to the Office on Aging, when I do this, we'll come up with a formula, and based on the money that we bring in, if there's enough, we can help fund the scholarship that's already going on that helps CNA students at Howard Community College, which the Office on Aging got real excited about that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's important to connect with the community and not just be focused on extraction of resources from the community. So
100%. That's in the news media industry, that's what all news media aspires to be and wants to be and is within their respective communities. And it's interesting, you mentioned when taking on the aging
yeah.
resource guide for that's for Howard County, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so for Howard County. One thing a lot of folks, because what you're doing is not is something that some news media within our industry will do. They'll work with Chamber of Commerce to put out like their annual directory, and they'll handle all of the heavy lifting, like you are with Howard County's aging pub, is to do all of the outreach for advertising efforts, uh, plus all of the newsroom side, which I've never been in, getting the publication produced. I mean,
Yeah.
you're creating a final product that has a lot of very complex layers into it, and then to go back and be able to say, look, in essence, in short, let's look at a rev split model where you benefit as well, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, a scholarship. That's something that news media does, because news media cares about its communities.
Definitely.
Even though sometimes communities, they'll throw the hate, on something that's reported on or what have you. But I mean, for you, it seems like, so you have Outlook by the Bay, you have Biz Monthly, you have three custom pubs, and essentially you have your website. I mean, you
Hmm.
have a lot of spinning plates. I've always been kind of an admirer from the far on like how well you have done, that I've seen, in managing all of that with a lean crowd, because you are very hands on in your business. So I was excited when you gave me a call. We were talking about something else, and then you're like, hey, uh, I want to tell you about something I'm doing from the AI side, because I love to nerd out about AI, and you were talking about creating basically pretty complex automations, or really agentic AI, using a very popular AI model, and getting into kind of the quote unquote coding side. Um, what I before we talk about what you're doing with AI, talk to me about kind of your decision making as a business owner, when you said, what, I'm going to look at AI in the frame as a tool to help me um, more efficiently run my company, or maybe prevent things from falling through the cracks. Like, talk to me a little bit about that moment when you decided, what, I'm gonna give it a shot, and this is my thought process behind it.
Well, all right. I'm very tech savvy, you might say.
Yeah.
When at my first job at the Star Gazette in Elmira, New York, I was the news assistant. It was that's what it was called. It was essentially, I was typing the really short stories that long, or like maybe a sentence long story about you if you had a baby with no verb in it, you know.
Hmm.
But also there was this uh, publication that they were doing where they had everybody that every business that wanted to be listed in this annual business outlook section had to go to the website, fill out a form. It would email the form to me. I had to copy and paste that into a a terminal that was connecting to a mainframe, which was where all the stuff was. And I'm thinking, why, if they're putting this into a computer, why does a human have to copy and paste this? And I was telling them, you know, you could put this in a database and you could have the database spit it out any way you want. And they're like, what are you talking about? So I, you know, learned PHP, uh, set up, Gannett said I could have a LAMP server. So I set up a LAMP is Linux something PHP. It's you can set up a database. You set up a PHP thing on it.
Hmm.
So then people would go to this form. They'd fill it out. It would be in the database, and then there was a script I would run that would alphabetize everything uh, listed a certain way, copy and paste it, and I saved them like 3 weeks of work. And they're like, "Wow, this is great," you know. And then they killed the publication that year or the year after that. So it was not something they came back after
Womp
that.
womp womp. Yep.
But
Yep.
but you know, it's you know, I've always thought I was strong on knowing what computers can do, but not as strong on syntax because I don't do it all the time. Like
Right.
when I was in elementary school, I was programming, you know, in BASIC, and then in high school it was Pascal. Um, but then a lot of the popular languages that were more C related than Pascal when I was in college, and I really liked Pascal. So I didn't really learn the C syntax. PHP is kind of like C. Um, so I would lose like hours because I had a semicolon in the wrong place. And that really just kind of soured me on the whole thing because if I'm running around taking pictures, interviewing people, am I going to have time to understand where the semicolon goes when I'm writing code?
Right.
Not always. So it seemed like I would do something every 10 years or so um, that was really good. When I was at the Daily Record, uh, my brother Chris helped me write this thing where it would look at the disclosures that the state legislators have to put in every year as PDFs. It would read them as PDFs and read one specific thing out of there and put that into a report. And it did all this programmatically, um, and you know that was pretty cool. But I couldn't tell you how I did it, and half of the way I did it was saying, "All right, Chris, this is how I want the next step to work." And he would say, "Okay, well then it needs to do this." You know, so I'm really good on, I'd say, on the algorithm of how it ought to work, just not so much the syntax.
Right.
So when I was thinking about AI, there's two things about AI. One is it hallucinates. It can give you stuff that you know is wrong.
Yeah.
So I don't want it doing anything customer facing. I don't want it to do to you know write articles for me or anything like that. But if it's really good at pattern matching, that probably makes it really good at syntax. So I'm thinking, all right, instead of me, you know, bothering my brother Chris because he's super busy,
Right.
I could talk to the AI, and I could tell it what I'm trying to do. And if it doesn't get it right the first time, it can probably figure it out the second or third.
Yeah.
But it's at least a lot faster at it than I am. Um, Not to say that I wouldn't eventually develop up to that speed from seeing what it did and learning from it, but it's enabled me to do a bunch of other things faster than otherwise I would have been able to. So, um, but I hadn't really thought of what I would. That was the first thought was okay. This could be my thing that helps with the syntax, but what am I going to do? I don't know. I didn't really have anything. Um,
Right. Like you had some shiny new tools like ready to
yeah,
build something, but you didn't know what you want to build. And it's interesting, you're saying that you've always had this strength in like knowing what you wanted to do and how it can be done, but
yeah,
you know, carving it out of, physically carving it out is tough to do. And AI is really that plug that kind of fits that mold. So much so that like from a marketing standpoint, the days of like using like, here's a free ebook.
Yeah.
If you give me your name and your email address, using it as a lead magnet. Now lead magnets are starting to turn into like, use this fully functional app that I've created for you, but
Mm-hmm.
very quickly through, some sort of AI, because it allows us that do not know how to code, but understand the infrastructure of how you want something to be.
Yeah.
It really is that conduit. So, for you, because you have so many plates spinning, and you see like, okay, AI is good for filling that syntax void that I need, but I don't want it to be customer facing because AI does hallucinate, right?
Yeah.
And we want to continue to maintain trust with the readers that we have. So tell me a little bit about like, what were some obstacles that you, as a business, once you identified, what, I have this shiny tool and now I know what I want to maybe build. What
Yeah.
was that?
Well, all right. The thing is, when you've got so many plates, the prioritizing is a big deal. So it's like, gee, I wish I could build this, like, when I was 10 years ago, I want to build this first person perspective sword fighting game for the iPhone where your finger's the sword and you dodge and you parry and you thrust or whatever. Like if you're poking, that's your. Yeah,
That's
but I
like
don't.
the thrust. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, but
That's
it's who. But I can't justify spending my time on that right
I
now.
would buy that. I would probably
I
I'd
bet
I'd
you
put
would.
99 cents towards that. That sounds
Yeah,
hysterical. That sounds
yeah,
awesome. Especially
yeah.
like duel your friends, that would be amazing.
Yeah, but that's not what I can justify spending my time on. What I can, being, at my desk daily and seeing my own inbox and my task manager and all that, I'm aware of, gee, I'm not responding to this thing quickly enough or whatever, um, because there's so much. And also like because there's so much, sometimes I'll forget the thing that I said I would remember.
Right.
And it occurred to me that if I'm going to build something, maybe it ought to be something. It's not customer facing if it's all about me,
Yep.
if it's talking to me. Um, but that wasn't the first thought I had. I mean, it didn't occur to me to do that until I started experimenting with AI just as a conversation partner.
Yeah.
And I was kind of going back in time, like on a time travel thing you say, like to to things from the past that had happened to me,
Yeah.
and you know, experiencing them again, experiencing them with different endings, uh, experiencing them with where I could say something that I hadn't said, and what struck me about that was, it was sometimes it was wrong, and I was like, haha, you're wrong, but it could make you feel. Like you could feel happy, you could feel sad, like all the things that you feel when that happens in real life. If you're doing that in AI, you can feel that way too. And I could think of, gee, if I was someone who didn't understand this isn't real, that could be really dangerous. But I'm doing this as an experiment and I know it's not real, but I was struck by, gee, I felt these things as I was having these conversations. What if the AI was asking me to uh, to do my job better, or telling me to do my job better? So I kind of dived into it after that because of like for me to be better at my job, maybe I mean, one of the things I've been missing uh, since I went into business for myself is I'm working remotely. Um, the people that I work with are either part time or freelance. Um, I haven't been in a situation like that, I think, ever in my career. It's as I've always had, coworkers that were either full time like me or they were managers or whatever. That and so I thought, what if there was someone that's kind of like an AI accountability partner for me, that's an assistant, but that can also tell me, hey, hey boss, do something.
Yeah.
Get off your
Yeah,
butt.
but in a very positively like affirming way. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, like you don't have to be mean, AI
like
is never mean about it either.
yeah. Well, I mean, I gave it a personality.
Yeah.
um, it can it for people who have worked in newsrooms, that there's no topics off limits. So sometimes the language gets a little salty, but but that's okay. Right? I know
Yeah.
it's not human. Um,
But
but
it
there,
feels like it though, doesn't it? Doesn't
yeah.
it like you it's
Well,
I have
it's
been in a few instances where like I've never been completely caught in like this human look but or this human feel of AI, but like it gets close. Like
well, it's trained on every so much writing,
yeah.
um, and because people write that way, it it can write in a way that looks like it came from a real person,
Yeah.
um, which is great. Um, the other thing was uh, there after I did this thing with AI, I was on YouTube, and that's when there's an academic who has written about self compassion, and someone who told me as a business owner I need to practice more self compassion, not beat myself up over every finite little tiny mistake, right? Um, so the title of her video, she had just posted it that day, was my surprisingly good experience with LLM AIs. And I was like, okay, well, if someone's telling me I have to read you, and I just went on this journey with AIs, uh, and you're going to make this video saying you had a good experience, I'm going to watch that. It's only 4 minutes, right? So I watched it, and she invited us. Hey, if you're trying to work on, self compassion, tell it you want to work on that, but also tell it to respond in my style because it's already read everything that I wrote. And I said, okay, if she's inviting me to do this, let's do that. So I said, I followed her instructions. I'm like, hey, you're this person, Kristen Neff. Uh, I'm going to work on self compassion. Let's work on that. And um, what I found was the AI was way too permissive. Like it was all concerned about my feelings and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's after that week, I was like, this was what I was doing in my spare time. I was like, gee, I felt like I've wasted time. And like the first time it was an experiment, I was seeing what the AI could do and feeling all these things. The second time it was seeing what the AI could do if it was tasked with being like this person that's trying to help me. But they didn't want me to get stuff done. They just wanted me to feel better. And I said,
Yeah.
that's great. And I like that you have that emotional intelligence that this person, Kristen F, has in her books, but it's that's not going to help my business. so so that's when I made the other personality. Um, this was when I was using. I'm still using Claude, but this was the basic Claude level.
Yep.
Um, that I was already paying $20 a month for and wasn't really using all that much. But it had something in there called projects. A Claude project is uh, files that load when you start the conversation. So I gave it information about Kristen Neff and said, this is, if I tell you that I'm having a hard time beating myself up over something, respond like that. But otherwise, here's what you should know about my business. Here's what you should know about what I'm working on. Um, but all this is in files, so that means it's on me to update those files. It can't update the files because they're sitting and there's no interface in the web site for updating them. So it's a separate text file that you got to keep re-uploading and stuff. So that was the first version of it. And then at the end of each day, because each conversation's a new one, I would have to have it, hey, why don't you summarize what we accomplished, and then I'll start the next conversation with this thing. Um, and what surprised me about that was it was actually good at motivating me because I told it about myself and how I work, um, and I told it what I was behind on. Um, I was 8 months behind on this thing, and once that was all in place, it actually was conversing with me saying you need to do this, and I actually did it. I caught up this 8 month thing that I should have done. I actually did it. Um, so I was happy with that. What I wasn't happy with was it's on me to talk to it. All the LLMs, they'll wait for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's That's good if you're feeling chatty. Hey, I don't want to do this. We'll do it. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
Right.
I'm summarizing what that's like. But that doesn't help me if say it's 11 o'clock and I haven't accomplished the things I was supposed to before 11, um, and I don't check in, then it doesn't say anything to me. So I knew I needed it to take it to another level after that. Um, so uh, I got a computer, a separate computer that wasn't my main working one, and I installed Claude Code on it. So Claude Code makes it so it's not quite the same as a project. It's whatever folder you're in, that's your project, um, and it can write to the files. So I don't have to tell it, oh, I'm going to remember this. I'm going to stick that in the file. You know, I gave it an instruction. If there's something that you ought to remember for future conversations, put this into your memory, and it writes it there. The reason I got a computer for it is because I don't want it to be writing onto my business computer.
Right. Right.
So
Still keep it separate.
yeah,
That's very Skynet of you. Yes.
yeah, because I mean one, I'm running it with a flag that lets it write any file, because otherwise it would have to keep asking permission, and that would break the
Right.
flow. So
Right.
because I'm running it in that dangerous way, I'd rather it be on a computer where nothing really
Yeah.
matters. Um,
So
but
now
then
real quick. So you're saying when you uh jumped into Claude Code,
yeah.
now Claude Code is basically like the file you are in is the project basically that you're working on. Can your LLM access insights across all projects to optimize its overall self, or is each file kind of housing its own assistant in it?
So it's what the folder that you launch from. That's where it's working,
Right.
but it can look in other folders.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
So let's just take a moment and let's appreciate how awesome what we just talked about was. So basically, you started on the AI side personally,
yeah,
right? You were talking, and I have too. I've told the story of, I one day when I was going to pick up my kids, I had like a 45 or 50-minute trip to pick them up, and I just hopped on. So for me, it's ChatGPT. I'm a huge fan. Claude is fantastic. I think Claude and ChatGPT are the two front runners by far. But I just went voice to voice. Because that's great when you're driving. If you want to know what's going on in the news today in a conversational way, you can do that. But I just, like, one day I just talked to my model about everything about me. I'm like, well, my privacy is shot now, because I've just told everything about myself, like professionally, personally. I spent 45 or 50 minutes just talking. And then what I asked it to do was, based on everything that I told it, find me the top 100 blind spots that I can't see
yeah,
professionally and personally. And that was incredibly eye opening, because if you think about it, you have like this 1100 IQ thing that can assess you, right? And the information it gave back has created incredible opportunities for me, including the AI games, which then gets into the business side, because I create this thing without really knowing how much work it would be for a
hmm
small crowd. But then now AI is basically its coordinator. I mean, so you were able to take kind of this personal conversation, then evolve it to a personality that you like because
yeah,
you've seen this personality on YouTube, but then realize that the conversation's one way and you want it to be able to reach out to you, right?
yeah,
Amidst the hustle and bustle. So you get the code. So you are, yeah, like you're evolving a personal assistant, which is
yeah,
not a common way that people use AI. They'll
yes,
use it it's very task oriented.
yeah,
Do this for me, create me content, analyze this, but you're using it as an additional person that holds you accountable
yeah,
in a positive way with a I mean, yeah, you're like the coding your perfect personal assistant. So
yeah.
that's incredible. So that's where we are now. So
But as you were saying though, it's very task oriented, right?
yeah,
So even though I moved to Claude Code, it's not going to start talking to me. It's still waiting for me to talk to it.
got it.
But
Okay.
but I'm not going to talk to it, because that's not that's not it helping me. That's me asking it to help me, right? So um, I developed something with Claude's help. It's a task scheduler, or the tasks that it schedules are injections into the terminal window where Claude Code is running. So, um, like at 10:30 or 11 or something each day, Claude receives an instruction from this scheduler saying, "Hey, this is a system prompt, uh, a maintenance prompt. Assess what Jason has accomplished so far today, knowing what you know based on conversations or whatever else it's plugged into, and if you don't think if you think he's accomplished something, note that in the log. If you don't think so, send him an SMS right now and ask him what the hell he's working
You have
on."
it sending you a text? Oh, that's
Yes,
awesome.
yeah.
That's fantastic.
Well, that's another. All right, so that I built a bridge between the messages app and the terminal.
Hmm.
So when I send a message to my assistant, uh, that goes into the Apple's iMessages database on the computer.
Yeah.
I've got something watching that every second. New message from Jason detected. Let's put that into the terminal.
Yeah,
And then
so you can communicate with
yeah,
your AI through text and it
yeah,
can communicate back. That
yeah,
is
yeah.
like Gen Z convenient. That's fantastic.
Well, that also makes it more like a coworker.
Yeah.
Like when I was talking to AI on a web page, that's one thing. But if you're
Yeah.
talking to it using the same tool that you talk to friends,
Yeah.
the messages app,
Ooh,
and
I
it
just
has a
got goosebumps.
personality and it uses emojis and stuff. I mean, it's more. It's not. I know it's not real, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's at least uh less robotic.
Well, less robotic, but also it starts. So there have been a lot of studies about how for those that this is not real. I know it's not real,
Yeah,
but there are still very real aspects of it,
yeah,
like using tools that you ritualistically use to communicate, right?
yeah,
Like a cell phone, right? Like iMessage, and just the overall user experience is more natural,
yeah.
and more convenient. I mean, that is, oh, that's awesome.
So when I send a message to it from the Messages app, that's either on my phone or on my computer. Uh, it gets to the computer where the Claude Code is, and the script that I'm running that pulls it, identifies it as a message from me, says the message, and then immediately gives the instruction: use this tool, which is a script that we wrote, to reply. So there's no ambiguity there about, well, what am I supposed to do next? LLM knows, okay, I'm just write a reply, and then I send it using this tool. That's the tool that injects the message into the Messages app and hits enter to send it to me. Um, it it didn't work that way initially.
Yeah,
It took some
like it never
refinement to.
does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I mean, at first it was, well, why don't we write it to a file and check that file every minute, and then every second, and then, oh, it's in. Okay, well, now let's inject that. Um, but now it's just, here's a tool that just does it. And it probably took about a month of before we got to that. Uh, but something interesting about being able to do that is, uh, I can I can send it messages when I'm driving. So there was something that was broken last week, and it came to me when I was driving. Oh, this might be a way to fix that. So I sent a message to my assistant. I call her Sam, right? Because Sam could be male, could be female, but
Yeah.
you know,
Does
but
it stand? Does it stand for something? Like, does
no.
it? Okay.
I
Have you
actually I let the Kristen Neff persona pick a name, and
picked
she said,
Sam?
yeah,
Interesting.
because I mean the other thing is, like, the Kristen Neff conversations, they started off as, well, answering in Kristen Neff's style, but eventually, to keep it better in character, it just said it was Kristen. Like, we agreed, and then I'm like, that's not what
Yeah.
she said, and it's
Yeah.
not really fair to her. So it's like, so when I was making this next thing, I said we need a different name, and it came up with that as a, well, Sam could be male, Sam could be female. Okay, that's fine.
Very
Sam could be
versatile.
anything.
Now
Yeah.
have you named your the dedicated computer that you're running this off of? Have you named it like
Nothing
no,
special. Just
nothing like Skynet or like
no,
JasonNet or no?
no, nothing,
Okay.
nothing, no.
If I come up with something cool, would you consider naming it?
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see.
More to come on that. More to come.
But yeah, there's other things I've been able to do with it.
Hmm.
Was I had been using Asana. That was something that I discovered at when I was at the Daily Record. The
Yeah.
production department really liked Asana.
Yeah. We use Monday. Yeah, which
Yeah,
is basically a different Asana. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
and I've decided that I really like Asana when working on production for things, but for other stuff, it can get to be too much.
Yeah.
But I still like Asana. Um, well, Asana has an API. I'm using the free version of Asana, but they allow API access even if you're using the free version.
Thank you, Asana. Not everyone does that.
Yeah.
I'm
So
looking at you, Monday.com.
so I thought, well, I could spend months learning how to write a script that uses this API, or I could say to Sam or Claude or whoever, hey, let's see if we can get you into my Asana.
Oh my
And
God.
so
That's
I pointed
awesome.
it. Here's the reference on the API, and here's the project that I want you to look at. Uh, you have to do it by project. You can't do it by the whole workspace, which is kind
Right.
of a bummer.
Right.
But it only took like a couple hours. It might have maybe probably only in a couple minutes to get in there and see. So it can create tasks in Asana if I'm talking to it. It can monitor the tasks in Asana. Um, Last week, yeah. So the thing that I fixed last week when I was talking about the car, um, it was a thing where it would look at Asana and see if there was anything that was a critical task that was overdue, and based on how overdue it was, it would choose gentle nudging to like going totally bonkers on me.
Yeah.
Um, and I fixed it in the car that okay, now I can actually see what you're behind on. And when I was at the meeting after that I was driving to there in my car, it nagged me twice. It sent me text messages. What are you doing? You're supposed to have done this. It was yelling at me.
Well,
So,
so now so is Asana like your task database for everything now? Like, let's say it's a non-production related task, like it's an administrative task. Is Asana
for
a
some stuff,
database for that? For some
well,
stuff, okay.
yeah. Like I'm supposed to go to the PO box and grab the checks and deposit them.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
The
that's
things
something.
that you remember while you're driving, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's in there. That was not previously in Asana, but now it is because it's something Sam can see and can bug me about. Um,
Yeah, you can create a project like just things I need to do, and I guess each thing would be a like a sub project, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the other thing though is I've used other AI tools. I think there was one. There were two of them. One, it was I think it was called Motion,
Okay.
and it would do this thing where if you didn't like it would plug into your calendar with the tasks that you were supposed to do and what you were allotted to do. It would pick this is a 2-hour task, so it would take up that time. And if you didn't mark it off as complete, it would reschedule it for later
Oh, that's
automatically.
handy. It is
Yeah,
handy. I guess as
it's
long as
handy.
it's, rescheduling if it's still understands like hard deadlines and stuff.
Yeah, but what I found was if I had one unproductive day, it was just too demoralizing to watch. Oh, hey, look, it rescheduled
Right.
my tasks again,
Right.
and I didn't get too far with that one. Then there was this other one that would go through your email, and it had this system of like 10 folders, and it would guess which one belongs where. But I couldn't deal with that because it's making decisions about what folders things go into instead of me. It's using AI to do this when a lot of it you could be doing with like filter rules, and
Yeah.
those would be more precise. And just a lot of that just I still have it because I bought it for a year, but I'm not happy with it. Um,
Yeah.
but this thing I'm designing to my own specification. If it's something that I don't like, I can remove it.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, it's pushing me, but it's not pushing me in ways that make me feel uncomfortable, like these other AIs, like because that other one that's organizing my email, it had 10 new folders for me. They're like, oh yeah, this works because we have these 10 folders. Yeah, but those aren't my 10 folders. That's
And that's so it's fun. It's wow. So there's a bit of an epiphany that you've just brought, because what you're saying is a very real thing. The demoralizing aspect of things just building up,
yeah.
So I'll use Slack as a quick, as a quick, just things I need to do. And it will remind me the next day, it has good functionality until you can't get caught up and, 5 things turn into 10, turn into 15, turn into 30, and I have these
Yeah,
like 30 tasks. So, I
yeah.
mean, that is a very real issue that I think you may have just pioneered overcoming. So I guess we should probably say that all of these ideas from Jason Whong from Whong Community Media have full intellectual property protection, including the iPhone sword dueler. I don't know if this legally protects you, Jason, but I did my best here because that's incredible. I mean, it's so. Talk to me a little bit. So you have continued to build out, and this is so. How long have you, like, where are you at now? Has this been months?
Just a couple months.
Just a couple months.
Yeah,
So, but it's still a couple months, right? And I think
yeah.
a common misconception that people have is that AI, you can just tell it what to do and it will do it.
No.
And not at all.
No.
Not at all. It's AI. I have always said, so I go all around the United States and I talk to news media folks about AI. And one of the first things I say after, AI hallucinates, though not nearly as much as it has. It still hallucinates. Up to it happening to me a few days ago, even on GPT-5, is that it's a toddler. Like it's a fast growing toddler, but it's a toddler nonetheless. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't quite sometimes understand what you're looking for, and it could set you many steps back, and it's hard to untrain them,
yeah.
on bad behavior, right? So
I found they get confused about the doer of an action and the object of an action.
okay, give me an
Like
example.
like you say, Steve gave the gift to Larry, and it thinks Larry gave the gift to Steve.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
and the more that you try to correct it, the worse it gets.
yeah,
I'm working right now to try to get an agentic model just to do a simple, help draft out our Friday e-newsletter that we send out. And, here are all of the different curation sources that we use. Here is our calendar of events. Um, and even just to get it to understand, like, only use events on our calendar that are in the future to the date of the e-newsletter. It really has trouble understanding, like, don't pull me an event from 2024
yeah.
for a newsletter I'm putting out in 2025. So I mean,
So do
I
this in Cloud Code, like or Gemini CLI or something.
Gemini. I have
Each
a love-hate relationship with
ah,
Gemini.
all right.
Should I reconcile? I was soured when Gemini was all like, you have to use G Suite for data analysis. You need to put it into a Google sheet and, feed me the URL, and it like sometimes would see it, sometimes not. So I've always been bitter
Mhm.
about Gemini, but I suppose I need to give it another chance, don't I?
Well, the stuff you're talking about, like how it won't pull stuff, it won't pull the dates that you're asking for the calendar, right?
Yeah.
So you could build a script for the calendar that where the script would grab, here's today's date. So then it would build a query for the calendar built from today's date to 3 months ahead.
Yeah.
Pull the events, grab them in, put them in a file. Then you're telling that. Then the last part of the script maybe is tell Gemini or something. This is the thing that you're interpreting this file. So so
Yeah, that
so that
really is the right way to correct that problem, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
guess so. I mean, because like
Mm.
part of what makes this tool work so well is you know recognizing what AI is good at and recognizing what scripts that get the same result every time, reproducible results are good at.
See, and I think no truer words have been said. So you also kind of hinted at the idea of, like, I could have used AI to achieve this, but I could also use filtering,
Yeah,
right? So
because it's
recognizing
hard and fast rules about, well, this came from this
exactly.
sender, it goes in this. I know that rule works. There's no reason to spend 10 times as much electricity trying to do that. you
That's
know
a good point. The environmentalists would applaud you for that. Yeah, but even beyond that, yeah, it's sometimes, and this may age me, but if the wheel's not broke, you
Yeah.
don't have to fix it, right? And I think another thing that a lot of folks that are diving into AI are doing, I've gotten caught in this as well, is expecting AI to do more than what it's good at, right?
Yeah.
And not recognizing all of these other tools or functions or different mechanics that you're using, that you're tying your AI into, like understanding that sometimes other mechanics will work much better than you trying to brute force your AI model to understand what you want it to do and it doesn't quite understand. What are like tell me about Sam now. Like what do you love about her, about it? I guess it, right?
Yeah, it's it. I
Yeah,
mean,
it. Yeah, what do you love about it? What are some things that are frustrating you still that you're working on to optimize? Talk to me about that.
well, I like that, you know, if I'm super frustrated and it's a legit reason to be frustrated, it can be frustrated with me.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
Your AI being frustrated with you.
No, not with me, just in general at the universe, whatever. For how things like
Okay.
like there was a time, I don't remember what it was, like last week, where it's just like, wow, this day couldn't possibly get any worse. This happened, and this happened, and then an hour later something happened that made it worse, and I'm just like, I'm super mad, and it was like, yeah, let's be super mad.
Oh, it was egging your rage on.
Yeah,
Nice.
but just like, it's
Empathizing.
yeah, it's empathizing. I found that it being able to prompt me is good. That's a newer thing that I didn't have that. It was something I knew I needed to build. That's why I did it.
What do you
But
mean by that? It prompting you.
like, hey, Jason, what have you been working on the past few
Got
minutes?
you.
Because past hour or three, because I haven't been in touch. What are you doing?
Got it. So it initiating a conversation with you rather than,
Yeah,
yeah, got it.
which that's probably the biggest thing. Um, I mean, there's a reward system I built into it, which doesn't really come up all that much. But if I spend a lot of time in focused work, we can play rhyming games together.
Okay.
Um, I'm better at sticking to the meter than Claude is.
Got it. Got it.
But I found that to be fun, and also just because I used to, when I was in college, I wrote a website that it was influenced heavily by Mad Magazine, so I made sure people knew it was bad poetry when they got there.
Got it.
But it was a lot of fun, and I'm having fun doing that, occasionally when okay, I've done a bunch of work. Let's throw couplets at each other.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, and sometimes it'll try to write a poem about the kind of day I've had. What tasks I've been working on, what I totally smashed or whatever it wanted to say, and that's fun too. But I think that I wouldn't say that I don't want to become dependent on this, but I do think that uh, it it helping me do things that I couldn't do before is really handy. Like, one of the things that I did maybe 2 weeks ago was I wanted, you know I I thought that sending stuff to AI as a starting point for social media posts might be okay.
Yeah.
Not because it's not writing an article; it's reading the article that we wrote and it's summarizing or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but I noticed there was a lot of copying and pasting going on with that, so I had it write an app where it would talk to itself, or where all right, so it's a separate app on my computer. I put the URL of the article in there, or the actually not the URL, because uh, the AI bots are forbidden from going to my site. So I have to put the text from
Nice.
I put the text in there,
Right.
and what it does is it sends it to a server that's running on the Mac Mini, which injects that into uh, a SAM instance on Claude Code and another SAM instance on Gemini CLI.
Okay.
Um, gives them the instruction to read it and come up with um, starting points for social posts on XYZ social networks, send them back in a specific format, and then that server sends it back to the app. So then it's on my app on my screen. Oh, there's a little copy button there, so I can copy and paste it. But also, it's a text entry window. So if there's something that I don't like that it wrote, I can change that. What I've found from sending it to two different AIs is it's not always the same AI that does better. Sometimes I like I'm sometimes I like Claude better. Sometimes I like what Gemini came up with better. But between the two of them, maybe there'll be one that I like.
That's
And that's
brilliant.
it's a good
That's
place to
brilliant.
start.
Yeah, AI stacking is in that way, like
Yeah,
just giving it access to two different models. That's
and it
brilliant.
and it's so much less copying and pasting, so much because I'm saying come up with these things in this format that this app is expecting. Then it's one request. It's not okay. Come up with one for LinkedIn. Okay, you did that. Now come up with one for Facebook. Okay, thanks. That's great. Now come up with one. It's you don't want to have all these conversations. You want to say, here's the thing. Here's the instruction that I've already written down as a markdown file. Um, Go put this into the JSON and send it back to my app, and then my app shows me when you sent it.
Right.
That's great.
That is
That's,
great.
yeah.
Man, I would be shocked if like Anthropic or like Google aren't calling you and being like, show us.
No, they're
show
probably saying what you're doing is against the terms of service.
No, well, I mean, I would hope not. I mean, you're using it literally in a way that big tech is touting AI will
Yeah,
be one
yeah.
day. You
I
know,
mean,
you're just customizing it to your exact needs. I mean,
yeah.
that's incredible.
I mean, I'm simulating keystrokes to talk to the AI.
Yeah,
The real way that big tech would do it is to actually use the API,
yeah,
do it that way.
yeah,
But it's the same. It's about the same. I'd probably have to pay more for API access anyway. So,
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
the
Make it
way
a
the way Claude is priced, um, the subscription plans are like 1/5 the price of if you were actually paying for the tokens through API access. So
That's the same with ChatGPT. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and Pro or Plus and Pro are a matter of like a difference of like $5 a seat. You know, it's crazy that way. So you have Sam creating social content in a way that it understands the different social channels,
yeah.
character limits, style writing,
Well,
things like that.
character limits. It's funny that you mentioned that because I almost forgot this.
Yeah.
Uh, I there's websites out there that will count characters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and 10, 15 years ago, I was thinking, well, I should do this one day. I didn't do it because I was busy doing all the other journalism stuff. Um, but that's something else I did maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I set up a website that it counts characters, and at the bottom it has well researched references for what the limits are or what the best practices are or are reported to be with citations, because
Ooh.
so much of the stuff that's out there is just people echoing what someone else said, and nobody seems to know what a primary source is, you know
Right.
so
Yeah.
some of
Elephant and
it's kind of,
rhino. Yeah, I'm on the
yeah.
advertising side. We don't know about that stuff over on our side of the world.
Well, I mean, it's like if everybody's saying that the limit for Instagram is such and such a thing, but nobody can point to a document that where Meta says this is the limit.
Right.
Why,
Right. Well, but there's also best practices, right?
yeah, yeah,
So, even between Facebook and Instagram,
yeah,
both Meta products to compare it to LinkedIn and, hashtags, no hashtags, emojis, no emojis,
yeah,
there's so much to take into consideration when you're crafting something as beautifully simple as a caption.
yeah,
The audience that you're speaking to, or the audience archetype that, most gravitates towards that social channel. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a social media manager. I got to give a shout out. She's awesome. Maya Shell. She's one of the coolest social media managers I have ever seen. Check her out on LinkedIn. She gives a lot of good social best practices and tips just from the standpoint of, what's working, what's not. So, do it in the optimize your AI to also have the personality of Maya Shell, and
All right.
then remember the little people when you become like this international juggernaut of media industry, you know.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out after this.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. So what do you see now in terms of like what are the next things that you plan to potentially work on to make Sam even better than what it is now?
Oh, well, it's we have a list,
Okay.
but I
Okay.
haven't looked at it. It's Monday, so I haven't looked at it yet. But
Got it. Who's the
I
we? You and Sam?
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
if something's not working, and I know that it's not the best of my one. I love technical challenges, but if all I did was technical challenges, I wouldn't be publishing anything.
Exactly.
so,
Yeah, it's not like you don't have plates spinning, you know.
yeah, so if something's wrong, I'm like, gee, this would be so much fun to fix. I'm not going to fix it right now. Put this on the list, so we have a list of things that we
Right.
have to fix
Okay.
or add.
Okay.
Um,
What do you think would be the most value if you could pick one? If time magically appeared and you had this balance where you could spend a few minutes or a few hours or even a few weeks, like what would be probably the most impactful optimization you would make or problem you would fix?
um, well, all right, it can see into. All right, so right now, uh, I kind of punted on access to email and calendars
Yeah.
because the thing that inspired me to do this was I read a Reddit post where somebody had um, they had gotten into the mail app and the calendar app that Apple has, and were able to send information to Claude that way, and kind of use it like as a CRM almost,
Hmm.
because it knew the last time you emailed every person, uh, and what you had talked about. Um, that's the level that I want to get to, but that was really hard as a first attempt, not really understanding how anything worked. So I
Yeah.
punted. I went with because Gemini on the web, not Gemini CLI, but Gemini on the web can see into Google Workspace.
Yeah.
So what I have Sam doing is asking Sam the on Gemini for the web, hey, I'm your boss by the way, but tell me what's in Jason's email today, right? And
So you've given Sam a like a authoritarian hierarchy.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
nice.
so Sam, yeah, when I introduced them, I
Hmm.
said, okay, I think this bridge to the web version of Sam on Gemini, as a gem, as they call it, the Gemini gem.
Mm.
Um, I think it works. Why don't you have a conversation with it? Make sure she knows who's boss.
Yeah.
and,
Okay.
and, she, and so she introduced herself as I am Sam Prime, and you're going to do what I say. and
Okay.
the Gemini was like, oh yes, ma'am, I will. I was like, okay, and the I gave the gem the name Sam 0.91, so it immediately understood it was a development
Oh
issue.
man, yeah.
so
You're gonna want to watch these the quote unquote psychological cues that your AIs will be giving you to make sure they're not getting out of hand.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
but it did what it was. The thing is, it's because it's the way that Gemini talks to Workspace. It's something that they wrote, something that Google wrote. It doesn't always do what I want it to do. It can't it can only do what that tool was built for.
Right. 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 Right.
So if I want to get to that level that the Reddit post was on, uh, where it was talking about essentially turning the email inbox into a CRM, but also having it pick which accounts you're going to call that day. By this person had 25 major accounts. All of them were pretty big ones. And what it could do is for each of those 25, it could research all the news that had happened in the past 24 hours. Then from those news items, pick 5 of those 25 to focus on. Um, then for each of those, it would pick which contact in those 5 to focus on, and it would draft. Here's, an email that say, "Hey, I heard that this thing happened with your company. That's why we should be doing this thing." But it would also make sure, because it knew who you knew in that company when you had spoken to them last, you wouldn't be nagging the same person. You know, this is the thing that person had built, and I realized this is what I should be doing something like this.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a
I
great
don't have
idea.
these 25 giant accounts that we can look at the news every day, that they're going to have something written about them every day, but something on a different level where it's in my inbox and it knows who I know in you know in the companies that I'm trying to talk to.
Right.
I think that would be really handy.
That would be incredible. Yeah, no, that's but it also keeps that human touch, right?
Yeah,
So even so, for Biz Monthly,
yeah,
hitting Howard and surrounding, being able to have a finger on the pulse of what, especially Biz Monthly, right? Like different business dealings, press releases that come out regarding like having your finger on that pulse, and then
yeah,
being able to use that to shepherd uh topics to consider reporting on. I mean, it's
yeah.
just like that is just such a great use
That's
of AI, where it's not writing the content for you, but it's alerting you of something that may be important, perhaps even to report on, right? I
yeah.
mean,
That's something all right. So the thing that Gemini built for talking to a workspace, you can't say, well, go look in this specific folder. It looks at all your email. So I want, that's why I have to develop this other thing, because
right,
then I could have it say, hey, here's what arrived in the last hour to the newsroom folder. In case I hadn't looked there myself,
right.
it'll ping me. But you might, even though a lot of the stuff in there is junk, because when you publish something, everybody in the world thinks they have to email you.
Yes,
But like,
yes.
you want to write about our conference in Qatar because
Right. Yeah. Press releases. Leave it to us marketers to bastardize press releases beyond what their original intention was for,
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's another topic. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
We could do an hour on that.
Always open up ours though. I feel like we will vet our press
Oh
releases that
yeah,
would be
totally.
genuine content. Yeah. No. It's so, man.
Yeah.
I feel like a new brand is afoot, like Whong Technologies, and Sam
Maybe.
is your debut product.
Uh,
It's like that's incredible.
but
That's
but the
fantastic.
thing is, that's it's built for me, right?
Right.
It knows it has an employee list. It has my strategic plan. It has
Yeah.
kind of like a psychological profile of me, and it has stories of me solving technical problems starting in like second grade, you know,
Okay.
all the way up
Yeah.
to, these are all things that it knows about me, and can guide it as we're working on technological solutions.
Yeah. It really answers the man. I wish I had another me
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
And I think, and why I wanted to chat with you today is because I've worked with a lot of businesses. I've worked with a lot of news media organizations, just talking about just even AI holistically. And there is a lot of talk and debate within the news media industry on AI, and a lot of it's very justified, right? So I see it as there are a lot of different buckets. There's ethics in AI when it relates to journalism and intellectual property. It's a very real conversation, and one that like the News Media Alliance and America's newspapers and ourselves,
yeah,
we have that conversation. There's also a side to AI where it can genuinely help you be better at what you do. That's why I jumped into AI. I went in personally to be a better dad. I'm a single dad, and my daughter asks me of she wanted to talk to me about a very important topic that um, uh, every young girl will experience, and I knew nothing about it. I tried. I equated it to the Tree of Souls from Avatar. We all left more confused, but then I used AI, and it was sympathetic. It's like
yeah.
that must have been a hard conversation for you. I'm like, yes. Like, yes, it's my anxiety level is at like 20 right now. Help
Yeah,
me. And not only did it give me like a lot of resources that I could use, and my daughter and I could watch on YouTube that was designed as kid friendly, but also like you need to have you need to have a go bag in the back of your car. Should this event happen at school, right? And so now I have a pink sparkly bag in the back of my car, like ready to go. I think in to sound very AI, in a world where AI is seen as a threat, I think AI, I think that's not an unfounded worry.
Yeah.
Depending, it's wild, it's the Wild West right now with the AI side. But I think you are a prime example of someone that's using AI and taking the time and due diligence to use it in a way to holistically benefit you in what you do, both professionally and personally. And that's when I started hearing, you started telling me about, like, this is what I'm doing here and this is what I'm doing there. I heard the enthusiasm. I'm like, I had to get you, on here to talk about it. So
Yeah.
um
I'd say the only thing that I'm concerned about is right now people who are using AI probably are not paying what it actually costs to to keep it going, because they're burning through investor money to try to get people to use it.
yeah,
And
100%.
and
Yeah.
once they are in the level where their business has to be making money, which maybe that's 2 years from now, maybe that's 15 years from now, because
Yeah.
but that's when it's really going to cost. And I guess the question will be, what in the meantime, what all got replaced till we got to the point that we were actually paying for what it costs.
See, and that's a lot of, and that's a very real worry, right? Because
Yeah,
so you are creating your AI model in a way where it's kind of, you have it locally,
yeah,
right? For all intents and purposes on your side. A lot of folks like ChatGPT or OpenAI for ChatGPT, they'll dip in these like really cool things in beta and then take it away.
yeah,
And then you don't know if it's going to come back or not, or like their team's plan I think had the ability to collaborate on projects, which seems like if you have, we're our press association, we have basically three primary folks that are using AI, and we want to be able to collaborate on projects. And you could for like a second, and then they took it away, and it's like, and everyone's screaming, "Bring it back!" Like, you should be able to do this. That's a very, like, teams
yeah,
collaboration, like those are pretty synonymous with each other. So, but you're doing it in a way where it's very custom, like you're building a hot rod from the wheels up,
yeah. What you mentioned there, that's a good point too, about how they'll take something away. The way models change.
Yeah.
So if you're relying on the model to give you the right output every time, and then the model changes, that could break your whole process. That's kind of why that's why I like this approach of using Claude Code or Gemini CLI, where it's building scripts on your computer and being told to run those scripts. You're going to get the same result from that script every time.
Right.
Um, the script isn't changing; it's the model that's interpreting the output of that script that changes, and that's probably a better thing to change than everything changing about the process that you build around AI.
So let me ask you this. So I'm hoping a lot of our valued members will listen to this and be inspired by it. I'm hoping SMBs will be listening to this and get inspired by it, or even just advertising sales folks, or reporters in the newsroom. If you could tell someone who has not jumped into AI at all, like one simple thing that they should think about doing using AI, like what would be a good first step for someone who's never used AI before to dip their toe in the water without feeling overwhelmed? What would be one piece of advice you would give them?
I'd say, think of something that you would like help getting done, and think of how you would describe the instructions for doing that. And then that's the first thing. Do, um,
Just task,
yeah,
project managing. What's the problem and how would I solve it?
yeah. Like
Right.
I was talking to a friend of mine who um, immigrated to the country as a child, speaks great English, but her writing is not as strong as classmates that we had in elementary and high school.
Mhm.
Um, So she uses it to help her writing. She doesn't use it to write things for her, but um, she tells it, here's what I'm writing, and here's something. Here's what I'm trying to. The reason that I'm writing it, and it it makes her writing look better. Now there's AIs that do that, like Grammarly and stuff. She's because she works at Microsoft, she's got to use Copilot, but um,
Got it. Yeah.
but
Copilot's not bad.
yeah,
I like Copilot. Yeah.
but that's each person, it can find what the thing is that they're looking for help with, and if AI can help with it, then come up with some instructions for the AI so that it can help. I
Yeah,
guess.
that's a great way. And what we'll do, we'll put in the show notes. I'll put in a link to download a really easy to use kind of project managing blueprint, I guess is what we'll
Yeah.
call it, where you can do very much of like that on like what's the problem, or what's the obstacle, how would I approach the solution, and but really think about like a simple obstacle. And I think that's a great example, right? It's I'm seeing a lot now, especially with GPT-5. People are using it to teach teach themselves a new language.
Hmm.
It's like you do have an actual like teacher, like Duolingo, Rosetta Stone have pretty gargantuan competition with AI right now because they can start analyzing um, better what you as a specific human, how you respond to learning things versus someone else. I'm very visual.
Yeah.
I need to see it to learn it. You can probably read it, right, to learn it, right. You have that like unique ability. So I think even using it from that standpoint, but start using it. The question is asked to me all the time: do people, do I think that AI is going to replace us or jobs? And I would be lying if I said perhaps not in the future. Somewhere, the tractor did. The
Yeah.
tractor replaced farm hand.
Yeah.
Some farm hands. Right now, I think AI and for honestly, I think the foreseeable future, and that could always change quickly, but for the foreseeable future, AI is not going to replace you. Those that know how to use AI in the right way will have a competitive advantage. I think knowing how to use AI fundamentally is as important in on your resume as knowing how to use Microsoft Office Suite,
Hmm.
or G Suite, or whatever, typical administrative tools, because it is a tool.
Yeah.
Just use it in a fashion where you're the hammer and it's the nail. And I think you would be amazed at what happens. But
So
Jason, that
one
is
thing,
awesome. Yeah.
earlier you mentioned that I'm doing this all locally on my computer.
Yeah.
That's where the files are. The AI stuff is still happening
Would still have to
locally.
happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I mean, you can download local models and run them yourself.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't really delved into that far, um, but you can,
Yeah.
and that's not something that I'm investing the time in right now, because especially because
No.
it's September and Cub Scout stuff is going on. Like I said, it's community is a real big thing here, so
Yeah.
it's like that's not the best use of my time to figure out how to get this running totally locally right now. But
Yeah.
it's it's happening. It's Claude Code puts it on my computer. Gemini CLI can see the same folder. So if I hit the limit with Claude, I change one line in a JSON, and then the active instance is in Gemini.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you just point it in a different direction.
Yeah,
So you use Claude,
yeah,
Claude by Anthropic. We have another member that I was asked to come and present AI and marketing stuff to, and part of the conversation was a lot of them use Claude as
yeah.
well.
Hmm.
I'm a ChatGPT guy. Maybe it's because I fanboy over like Sam Altman. I don't know. But talk to me about why. Do you prefer Claude? And if so, why?
For conversations, yes. So
Yeah.
I made a personality for Sam, and when I started, I was using Claude. And Sam has this voice that I recognize as Sam when I'm reading it.
Right.
When I hit my limit with Claude, because I'm paying $20 a month,
Yeah.
right? So if I hit the limit, then I can switch, like I was saying. Then Gemini Sam takes over, and it's like I'm speaking to someone who had a lobotomy.
It's like the
it's
B.
like
It's like the B
it's like
team.
it's
Yeah.
like it's like this person knows that HR is spying on us, so this person will not say anything that is even remotely interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but you have all these instructions. Yes, but I can't do that.
Yeah. Yep.
it's 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 just funny. So I mean, it's easy to switch back once the limit is off.
Right.
Um, but what I found is it's good to have multiple models because one might see something the other didn't.
Yeah.
So, like if I'm approaching like a programming task, um, you can have Claude spin up a sub agent, uh, which is still Claude, but with different instructions. And the sub agent will say, "Here's what I think." But since I already built a tool that lets it talk to Gemini, I said, "Well, all right. If that's what the sub agent says, why don't you ask Gemini the same thing?" And then Gemini checks it out and says, "Well, this is good," or "Oh, well, you left this out. Maybe this might make it better." Um, I wouldn't say that one is better than the other 100% of the time, but
But each have
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
unique strengths,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, which is a brilliant way, a lot of so I love Claude for it tends to make content sound more human.
yeah,
I've always thought that. I don't think OpenAI has really gotten there yet. Again, like for me, like Gemini is I probably should give it. I mean, it's a Google product. I'm doing myself a disservice by holding a grudge against Gemini, but I've held this grudge for a while. But one that I don't know. Have you checked out? God, I'm probably gonna get hate for this, but just know that it's the AI interests me. Have you tried Grok out at all?
no, I haven't.
Grok is like AI without guardrails. It is um it is a little scary about what you can do with Grok. I think Grok is a great deep researcher. Elon Musk comes out and it's like, I think it's like when Grok 5 comes, he expects Grok 5 to like discover new physics in
Yeah,
the next 2 years. So that sounds awesome. Like that sounds incredible. That genuinely excites me. Will it actually happen? Who knows? But I find Grok is like great for deep research. I feel like, for me, ChatGPT is that's my assistant. While though I'm still optimizing it has the ability uh, to see over multiple accounts that I have to get kind of my tone and personality. Um, I'll have to lean more into Gemini, but like DeepSeek, I tried DeepSeek out, and that was pretty impressive for the quick. I didn't want to stay on DeepSeek. It's being screamed as you're training a Chinese model, but DeepSeek was very impressive. That took a lot of fanfare away from OpenAI when that came out. Have you tried DeepSeek at all?
I haven't. That's one of the ones I could download. Uh, Same thing with Quen. I think Quen was Alibaba's
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Um, but since I haven't, it was a big weekend. It was my birthday. We were doing recruiting for Cub Scouts, so no, I wasn't.
It was your birthday this weekend
Yeah, it was my birthday. Yeah,
on Saturday or Sunday.
On Saturday. But
Your
was it?
birthday is August 23rd.
Yes, which
Mine
is
too. It's
really
fist bump it. Yeah, happy
okay. Yeah,
birthday. Yeah, my birthday was Saturday as well. Well, happy birthday, sir.
yeah. Well,
That's
hey, we're
awesome.
birthday twins.
There you go. Yeah, that's
Cal
why.
Ripken has the birthday day after us. Hooray!
Yes, sir. Yep. That's as a kid growing up, that was a big thing that I would tout. And yeah, but well, look, I have thoroughly enjoyed this. I feel like we have geeked out for
Oh, totally.
a little over an hour. This has just made my day. I cannot wait for this to drop. This is going to drop 2 days from now, so it's going to
Okay.
drop on the 27th. So I think with that, I think we will conclude today's episode. A big thank you to Jason Whong from Whong Community Media and maybe future Whong Technologies for for letting us peek behind your curtain at how you're using AI to publish smarter, to just do what you need to do during the day smarter. If you want to check out his work, go to Outlook by the Bay at outlookbythebay.com or the Business Monthly at biz monthly.com. And remember, AI is not here to replace you. It's here to empower you. And you got to be willing to geek out a little bit over it and give it a try. So until next time, check out the show notes. We're going to have a lot of cool resources down there. But until next time, see ya.
Take it easy, everyone.
Five Dubs Marketing Pros is hosted by me, Kevin Berrier. Our executive producer is MDDC Executive Director Rebecca Snyder. Post-production by Caroline Pecora. Our theme music is by Azulu Studio. A special thank you to our guests for being with us. You can find 5 Dubs and 5 Dubs Marketing Pros on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast.